The personality types that gravitate towards financial services, they're very good at the core elements of the business, but a great business needs those ancillary elements as well, right? You got to be harebrained every once in a while.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of CBS Spotlight. If you're here by mistake, you are in the right place now. I'm Eric Alvarado, along with my co-host, Mr. Ted Hikes, and we are your friendly guides through this world of insurance and wealth management. And today on our show, we've got Mr. John Swystun, who is the president and CEO of Auxesys. John, welcome. Did I miss anything?
Crushed it, Eric. Nailed it. First try. Way to go.
That was tough.
John, so excited for you to be here. Thank you. It's been a long time coming. I know we've been talking about this for 6 months or so. So I'm very excited to have you here. I'm going to start out just like with some background. Like, I know you actually started your career making snowboard videos. Can you kind of take us back to that part of your life and kind of talk about how you started there and then the transition that eventually led to the world of financial planning?
Absolutely. Hyped to be here. Thank you for having me. A pretty atypical career path, but in a strange way, all the dots connect in the rearview mirror. So most of my family growing up were professionals, lawyers, executives, Big Four. Some of them worked at wealth management and even built some roll-up style stuff here in Canada. And I was that weird black sheep in the family. I fell in love with digital media, video cameras, snowboarding at like 10 years old in Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's flat as a pancake, cold as all get out. It's pretty much the worst place in the world to fall in love with snowboarding. Horrible. But I have a screw loose, I suppose. And so I followed it all the way to Whistler, British Columbia, which is like the mecca of professional snowboarding, at least in my opinion. I'm somewhat biased. Yeah, and so it was great. I had a 15-year run doing that. I suppose what happened is I cut my teeth in digital marketing and IT. You know, you have to wear all of the marketing hats, and it was the year we released our first snowboard video was basically the year the DVD died. So great timing, right? We had to reinvent the distribution channel on the fly, and it was all going online. And then I also, had to do cameras and storage and software and media and computers and wear all those hats as well. So without realizing it, I guess I built up some skills in both of those domains. And then 15 years into that career, the writing was on the wall that it turns out like snowboarding and like running across Canada premier tour parties is not the best way to make a long-term living. And I knew that I wanted to build a family and raise a family. I knew that I had a lot of catching up to do in the financial department. And so I moved back to Winnipeg with my tail between my legs. Of course, all of my professional family members are kind of, advised me into it and supported me through it, but very much kind of like they all saw the writing on the wall, right? So that was a hoot, and it was really nice to be supported by some serious professionals, and have those people as role models to look up to. And what happened at that time was I basically swore off of digital media production. When I did the snowboard stuff, I would do contract, corporate, commercial, conference, event coverage to kind of, keep the lights on, because making snowboard videos, doesn't pay that well, especially when you're producing your own.
Yeah.
And at that point, I basically decided that I was going to be a CFA.
Okay.
So I had always been interested in finance and investments, in asset management and wealth management. And so I dove headfirst into that pursuit. And I moved back to my hometown of Winnipeg at 33 years old. I really had no business network, right? It's like, I just showed up off a boat, everybody basically forgot about me here. So I did all the extracurriculars I possibly could. I got into a university program, our BCom program here at the University of Manitoba. The Asper School is quite well regarded in Canada. And I did case competitions and pitch contests and finance contests. I did the CFA Global Challenge. I did all the local stuff. I did the marketing group, the investment group, the investment. I did all that stuff, basically trying to make up for lost time, rebuild my business network here in Winnipeg, and figure out where do I belong professionally. And as I did that, I really gravitated towards the wealth management channel. And so at school, when I would get like group assignments, I was that guy who was like, let's go interview a bunch of wealth management firm founders and like, let's make our project about that.
Exciting.
Exciting, right? I don't know. But I had a lot of fun doing that. And as that was happening, I got a few years, I was a couple years into that university path, trying to pursue CFA. And two things really happened there. The first was that even though I had sworn off the contract work, it started to beat a path to my door. And so for some reason, people got the crazy idea that they should refer me work. Like, can you build a set of financial projections, a model, so that we can buy out the second half of our dental practice, get a bank loan, right? Somebody said, John's your guy. And I was 33 years old. I lived in a 700 square foot side by side. When they approached me, my answer was, yes, I'll do that for you, right? Yeah. So I did some of that work, and then the work just kept coming, right? Can you evaluate and implement and integrate a CRM? Can you build us a website? Can you generate leads? Can you procure computers? Can you design and install a small home office network? Can you, those asks just kept coming. Can you produce videos for our computer science papers at the university? And so I just said yes to all that work because I needed to pay the bills, and I liked the work better than my startup day job. I worked at one of the biggest startups here in Manitoba called Skip the Dishes. Great company. But the second thing that happened was my mentor really got to know me, and he just realized, John, you will claw your eyeballs out if you are chained to an analyst desk for, the first 4 or 5 years of your career. That's not you. You are a founder. And so those two, things kind of converged. And I think that year Auxesys was founded, and the next chapter of it was that we service professional services firms here in our home province, a bit nationally, and we did both digital marketing and managed IT. And we had some very difficult market challenges in 23. I'll just put it that way. And I decided at the end of 23, some serious headwinds. I said, no more managed IT, which we were trying to build up. We'll come back to managed IT, but we're going to strictly focus on digital marketing. No more Canadian business development, and no more other verticals. And at the time, wealth management was our number one vertical. And so thus our American RIA channel go-to-market was born.
Crazy.
That is interesting. Yeah.
John, that's you've got such an interesting backstory, man. That's great how you guys have come to this point now. And I guess along that way, I'm sure you learned a lot. I mean, what lessons from the filmmaking and storytelling carried over to, how you help advisors communicate their story online today?
Awesome. Well, maybe I'll respond with a question first. Any movie buffs in the crowd, guys?
Yeah, you got a couple.
Yeah.
Awesome. Favorite genres? What do you guys like?
This one's free, eh? We like the comedy stuff. Well, I do anyway. So.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I like comedy too. We'll go with that.
Awesome. Any sci-fi fans in the crowd?
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
Some Star Wars nerds.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So some shared ground. I also had kind of like an atypical approach into the world of snowboarding, obviously being from the prairies and not growing up in the mountains, but I also went to film school at the start of that career. That kind of really kicked it off. And so there are quite a few frameworks from that world, filmmaking and storytelling, that I would recommend anybody read about. Amazing content online. It's strewn across YouTube. We live in such an amazing era. You can just access incredibly high quality content about these things. But concepts and frameworks like the 3-act structure, like the hero's journey framework. Is anybody here familiar with the hero's journey framework?
No.
It's very similar to a 3-act structure. I think 8 archetypes, 12 stages, but it's basically the call to adventure. And so most highly effective stories follow that same structure. and have those same archetypes: the hero, the sage, the wizard, the trickster, the shapeshifter. There's very similar repeating patterns of narrative arc and key characters. And if you look around you, if you study those structures, then you look around you at anything, film, media, TV, pubs, the industry. This industry is an amazing example of those types of stories and archetypes. They are everywhere. And so Joseph Campbell wrote that book, The Hero's Journey, and he called it the meta myth, because it's the myth that pervades all myths. You can find that structure in the oldest stories. We are just, cognitively wired, physiologically conditioned to be attracted to and good at telling stories like that. The other big things I think carried over, this is more from snowboarding and less from traditional filmmaking, well, maybe both, is fun and adventure. That I think is really, really key. I gravitated towards your organization because you guys seem to be really great at having fun and enjoying each other's company.
We do.
Maybe a little too much, but yeah.
Absolutely. And we just talked at the top of this call about, we can see it playing out in real time, right? We know some of the traditions and history of this industry, but it's an industry that really is dying. There is a huge call for an adventure. There's a huge call for change and narrative arc, huge call for fun. And it's not surprising that players like Future Proof are just seeing smashing success, right? It's not, to my way of thinking, it's not like, yes, it is partially a brilliant marketing strategy, but it's not like doesn't need to be too deliberate. It's what the human soul, spirit, and mind thirst for. So I would say embrace that. Whoever has the most fun wins is a great marketing trope. It comes from storytelling and filmmaking as well. So those are some. Systems thinking is another big one. So I know that you guys are probably pretty big into that. You definitely need it in quantitatively heavy industries, but systems thinking, first principles thinking, you might not always associate it with filmmaking, but it doesn't take too much to realize, like, to make a film set run, heavy logistics, heavy first principles, heavy fundamentals. But the key, and I think this is more so what we see play out in the world of filmmaking, is harmony, right? If you index on the systems thinking, you get systems thinking, with no real soul. And so that's really what we see in the wealth management space, is that it's thirsting for harmony. And when I say that, I mean the improvement of the science, yes, but also the art. And it's the intersection of the two that we say play out in some of the most effective marketing and business in the world in front of us. So I got a question for you guys. I'll throw you a little curveball here. Very, very early on, our organizations seemed gravitated towards each other and aligned. And it seems to me at the end of the day that fundamentally we have a very similar value proposition, and that is that we can both help wealth management firms, especially in the RIA channel, but also other wealth management channels, with organic growth. That really is a key objective this day and age, a really hot news topic. How do you guys view organic growth, and how does an organization like yours help?
Yeah, I mean, I think we look at organic growth, and I think, John, you and I have had this conversation before. As you have there's two ways to do it, right? There's, you go out and get more clients, which client acquisition is an important part of the business, but very difficult. Or you take the clients you have and figure out a way to generate growth by providing them additional services. And I think where we really fit in with our partner firms is taking existing clients and applying new opportunities to them. Because a lot of RIAs, insurance is 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, 10th on the list of what they're doing every day. So we come in and help them identify opportunities within their existing client book. And then once we identify those opportunities, how do we help them execute? And I think that's where CBS brings a massive amount of value to the space that we live in.
Amazing. I do have a follow-up if you'd allow me. And this one might hit the cutting room floor. I don't know. It was just the other day on LinkedIn. I can't remember who posted it, but it seems to be the hot topic. There is such a trumpeting of the role of the fiduciary and what it takes to be a fiduciary.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know that there's a lot of debate about how insurance and annuities fit in with that role. What is your perspective there?
So I have my opinion, Eric. I don't know, I don't want to steal the floor from you, but
no, go ahead. I mean, you're flowing.
So I look at a fiduciary as, I believe that if you're a fiduciary, it's your responsibility to present your client with all the potential solutions. It's not necessarily your job to pick and choose what you present, but, and obviously we all have our opinions. But I feel like if I'm a fiduciary and I'm not presenting all the potential options and letting my client pick, educating them on what might be best. And that doesn't mean I'm not giving guidance as a fiduciary, but I believe it's my role, to present them with all the options, educate them, and then allow them and help them make the most appropriate decision for them. And that's how I look at it. And I think that includes, insurance is a big part of that. So, and that's, again, that's the world we live in. Eric, would you?
Yeah, man, I think making them aware of maybe potential pitfalls or holes in their planning design that they have out there is just a big portion of, how we can kind of make sure that they're protected, make sure that they're hitting their goals, protect them from, blind spots that they may not know that they have. And just, putting those options in front of them, as you mentioned, and, they may not take them, but I think they just making sure they're aware that those situations are there. I think that's a huge part of what we do and kind of what we bring to the table. These advisors aren't focusing on that, as Ted mentioned, and that's kind of where we can bring in our value, just saying, hey, by the way, there's this or that, that we can kind of plug in into their situation. So that's kind of how I look at it, where we find or provide a lot of value to the reps that we work with. So
awesome. And it feels like the industry is starting to come around to really starting to integrate strategically into the role of the fiduciary advisors and platforms alike, ancillary services, especially insurance and annuities. Are you feeling that uptick?
I think we are. I mean, the more firms we talk to, and it's interesting in the last, in the 4 years that I've been at CBS, the number of RIA firms that are welcoming conversations as it relates to insurance, it grows every day. I mean, we know that clients are asking about this. They're expecting more from their advisors. And that includes insurance, but, it's everything else from where should we have the wedding for our oldest daughter? What's a good spot for that? The expectation for a financial planner and a financial advisor today is so much different than it was even 10 years ago. So, we've just seen a massive shift, I think, in the market. And I think it'll continue to go that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely more holistic than ever before, right? And it's growing. So definitely.
Awesome. I would concur. It does not seem to be letting up anytime soon.
Which is good. We all need we need it, right? So
yeah. So John, you've said in the past, the wealth management industry has been shackled by regulation and blinded by the true essence of a great online presence. Can you dive into that and, explain what you mean by that?
Yes, I think that most in an advisor seat or in an executive or a board member seat can see it well. And it's changed recently. But the strictures of regulation in wealth management, I know, have produced this mindset that being quick, being iterative, and moving at high velocity with your marketing, and especially your online marketing, is very difficult. I think that also combines with a couple of other features in the space, and I may get a bit controversial here, but I'm going to lay out our thesis here at Auxesys, the Auxesys thesis.
Okay.
we love the study of psychology and personality here, and I think it's pretty safe to say that a certain personality type gravitates towards financial services, right? And we'll just say a certain personality type gravitates towards making snowboard videos, let's say. And so the most harebrained people in the world usually don't gravitate towards financial services, right? People who are extremely high in trait openness, which is the creativity dimension, they usually go off and make films or ads for vacations to Fiji or start their own agencies or do all this wild stuff that honestly, frankly, has low levels of success. And to succeed, what you have to do is be able to blend domains and ideas and subject matter, right? And even in such a fashion as other people go like, I don't know where you're coming up with these combinations. These combinations don't make sense to me, right? And it's that orderliness dimension that is a great predictor of career track. And obviously financial professionals, right? Part of it is putting things in order, your financial world, right? And so the personality types that gravitate towards financial services, they're very good at the core elements of the business, but a great business needs those ancillary elements as well, right? You need a dose of creativity. Right. You need to gross you got to be harebrained every once in a while to get to that next effort. And so I think a lot of the folks that sit at the intersection between compliance and marketing have struggled, right? I think it takes a really whacked out mind, to be honest, to look at compliance and go, wait a second, regulation can actually be fuel. Regulation, we can actually figure this out, systematize it, run the lead time, run it like software development, run it like other industries that have figured out problems this tricky. And we can actually use it, wield it as an advantage rather than a handbrake. And so that's part of it. And then I think another big part of it, which we may discuss a little bit more in the future, it really is the regulators themselves changing. And I think I know that there has been a great deal of discussion of the regulations themselves being too constrictive on the business, right? And so we know 2022, the SEC new marketing rule and big sweeping changes in areas like reviews and testimonials came out. And frankly, this is one of the key reasons why I am here, why I'm in the space, is that over my 20-year career and 25 years, 15 years of heavy digital marketing in this kind of new era, servicing professional services firms, I've always known since very early that online reviews and testimonials was a huge driver of online performance and therefore a growth lever. And this is a channel that's just now waking up to it. So shout out to my friend Whit Lanier over at Amplify. Check out some of his research. But when I entered the space about 22 months ago, reviews and testimonials were just at the thin edge of the wedge with very, very early adoption. And now we're to that second stage of adoption where it's starting to pick up. And I think we know where the puck is headed with this one. So I'm all about that.
John's been very eye-opening. Thank you for taking the time today. We are running out of time for this particular episode, but I know there's a lot more to talk about, and we can't wait to get you back on for another episode to talk a little bit more in depth about how, how we can, where carriers are failing or where the companies are failing, where the market is, and kind of, exploring a little bit more about how, I guess, getting your ideas on how to make things better and how basically firms are going to win as we go forward, with marketing. So
awesome. Absolutely, man. It's been an absolute pleasure and I really look forward to it. Amazing hanging out with you two fine gentlemen here today.
Yeah, thanks, John.